Okay, so a new boss just came out and it's by far the most talked about boss in the community, and they have released the most controversial boss they have ever implemented in this game. Well, aside from Defiler and Miasmic Fiend of course, and of course I'm talking about the H1, the Thrall, and he is by far the most tankiest boss we have gotten, which is around 160 million I think, which is safe to say that he is by far the most HP inflated boss in this game, but that's for a reason. But before that, we need to talk about why is he being called the worst boss in the game. So start off, the biggest problem with this boss that is being called out by the community is that he already has invulnerability phase right at the start of the battle, which lingers around for a few seconds, then comes back down and then start fighting like a normal boss. Which is a huge issue because it messes with the pace of the battle, which in turn makes the fight feel less exciting because you are waiting for him to come back down so you can start fighting him. The second problem is the miasma phase. The miasma phase of this boss is actually kind of overwhelming in my opinion. He keeps flying around being invulnerable for so many seconds, and when he comes back, you can't even hit him. The only thing you can do is parry him, and after you parry him, he will still take more parries until you can finally start hitting him with your basic attack. Another thing that the Thrall is being hated for is because of his ally. The game calls him ally, or people refer to him as the
Bombardiro Crocodilo.
The problem with him is that he just exists there for sole purpose of being a nuisance and being a thorn for stun agents. By the way, the first line against this boss is that he is suitable for stun agents. This just makes me mad. What is this? This is clearly designed against characters who rely on stun damage, for example the main culprit of this being Hugo Vlad, which makes no sense because he is the rerunning character in this phase at the time of writing the script. But I don't understand why the devs wanted them to add a boss that is quote unquote suitable for stun agents, but then make him anti-stun by forcefully adding in an ally which to be honest doesn't feel like it should belong there or is related to the boss in any way or form. He's just there so you can have a difficult time dealing with him. The amount of downtime you have when you are playing against this guy is actually quite impressive. I'm pretty sure that half of the time you are waiting for him to come back down from his scripted invulnerability phases, which to be honest is cool and all, but it doesn't belong in Deadly Assault anyway. Just like for example the Marionette. Her original form was two marionettes being merged as one boss, but they reworked her specifically for Deadly Assault so you can have a more enjoyable experience to fight her. And her clone mechanics is actually quite fun to play against in my opinion. And one thing I want to touch upon is the frog or crocodile or whatever you want to call it. It may be affecting you as well, but every time I have to fight him, it gets so awkward. He doesn't even fight back, he just stands there menacingly and doesn't do anything. He doesn't fight back, he just stands there for 4 to 5 seconds and I'm just waiting with my Idari and waiting for him to attack so I can parry him so I can do reasonable amounts of damage. The problem with this boss is that there should have been two variants of him, one for normal boss fight which is going to occur in the story mode, and the second variant being the Deadly Assault boss fight which is designed with the game mode in mind. Just like the Marionette and other bosses which were reworked for Deadly Assault specifically, his design I think is actually quite fire. I actually really like his visual design, but I don't understand the point of his ally. I think his ally just keeps spinning around the battlefield and being invulnerable and the timer still keeps ticking down doesn't make any sense. I think there should be multiple changes specifically for Deadly Assault variant of the boss so that it should be more fun and playable, and the biggest problem is that it should feel fair. Most of these bosses that have been released like the Defiler, Miasmic Fiend and this boss is that there are so many invulnerability phases that to be honest makes no sense. I don't understand why it is there in the first place. You're in a game mode that is ticking down and every second counts so that you can get your polygon rewards so you can get your 2-star or 3-star, or you're trying to get a higher score. It doesn't make any sense as to why we can't hit him and he just keeps going invulnerable. In my opinion, he needs a rework specifically designed for Deadly Assault. His original version can stay the same, that is fine by me, but his Deadly Assault version should be completely absent of any invulnerability phases. And I think they should remove his ally, so we should only fight him and him alone. I think that this would make a pretty solid boss. Just like Wandering Hunter, he was actually quite a solid boss in my opinion. The Thrall really needs some major changes to him for Deadly Assault for him to be taken as a good boss by the community. The Miasmic Fiend, the Defiler and this guy are actually the worst boss gameplay wise. They are so locked down in their niche it actually hurts. You can't use many of the agents that are not limited characters and specifically that are running in the current phases, which makes this so difficult to deal with them. For example, the miasmic field requires anomaly bosses. I used my Miyabi to try and clear the miasmic field, but the max I got with Mono Ice Team is around 17 to 16k. With all of them completely leveled up and using all tech and stuff. I had to use my Yishuan, and even with that, I just barely cleared her with 20k. To be honest, I think the most difficult boss to deal with is actually the miasmic fiend in my opinion. She is so annoying and difficult to deal with, and she has the second highest HP in the game right after the troll, which is also 160 million but slightly less than the new boss. And she also takes so much time in her invulnerability phase, and right after her invulnerability phase, she goes directly into the miasma phase, which is incredibly rough to play around. And the Defiler on the other hand is completely electric attacker based, and she was designed around the Oval Squad in mind, with the best team being against her is SNB, Trigger, Seed and Orpheus. These are the best agents you can use to deal with her. The problem with her is that her invulnerability phase is so long, and trying to put up with her gimmicks of returning the slashes back to herself, and her annoying army guys which you keep have to be spamming your assist button, which is also not fun. The problem with bosses like these is they are designed too much around one or two characters. For example, Yeshuan is clearly designed around Hidari and Thailand, and just like him, the Miasmic Fiend is completely designed around the anomaly agents like Alice Timefield and Okinami Usuha. And same goes for the Defiler, which is designed around SNB and Seed to perform and gain the highest amount of scores. And that's why I think it's not very much pleasant to play against them when this kind of stuff is going on. It just makes me so mad, man. Like, why do they keep doing this? It doesn't make any sense. The only point they are trying to make is that it looks cool, and the 5000 points you gain does not compensate the time lost, or sometimes makes it even worse in some cases and scenarios, that some bosses takes more time to accumulate these points than others. And most of the time you just have to sit around and do nothing and let the boss do her thing. The amount of seconds you are wasting doesn't worth the wait. And plus, it's so boring to do nothing. Like, come on now, man. Alright, I think that's enough. If you like this yapping session, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to. This is my first time doing this kind of bit, so if you liked it, it shows me that you kind of like these types of bits, so I can make more type of this content in the future. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.